Thank you, everybody. Really pleased to be here with you and with the panelists. Thank you. I don't want to introduce the panelists because they know more what they're doing than me. No, I'm joking, but I just wanted, Gaia, could you introduce yourself? And then we have a little video as well.
Yeah. Hello, good afternoon. My name is Gaia Pretner. I am the head of sustainability at ECA, European Club Association. I joined the organization 1.5 years ago now. And the first, let's say, objective I had was to develop the first sustainability strategy of the organization through a very close daily work with some representatives of our members. We represent today more than 700 football professional clubs all around Europe. And we work towards helping, let's say, all our members to become more sustainable, and the strategy was developed in close cooperation with our sustainability working group. So the video you're going to see is going to show you a little bit the major achievements of the sustainability work stream in the past year.
Great, fantastic. Let's show the video, please.
Football unites people across the world through a shared passion, and this gives us the power to make an impact to drive positive change. The new generation of football fans cares deeply about sustainability and social justice, and football organisations must now comply with regulations aimed at addressing these concerns effectively. ECA has made sustainability one of its 8 strategic pillars and launched its first sustainability strategy that covers 3 key areas: environmental, social and governance. Our strategy leverages our network of stakeholders from across the football ecosystem, providing guidance to member clubs on implementing clear targets and KPIs for achieving environmental, social and governance goals. ECA is putting sustainability at the heart of our operating culture and decision-making, creating a pan-European ECA sustainability working group that will help European clubs identify key issues to address.
Thank you. And Anna, you're from Real Betis. Can you tell us a bit more about you?
I recently joined Real Betis. It's been a pleasure for now. I'm working as a global projects director, and one of those projects is Forever Green, which is the sustainability platform that the Real Betis created to help in that matter our planet, let's say. But I have a video which explains the project very nicely. So.
Thank you, Anna, and we are big fans of these programs. Really good, really good. And the next one, I think we coming from ECA Club Association to a club to Jenny. Do you want to introduce yourself? And
yeah, thank you very much. My name is Jenny Morris. I'm the director of City Football Leadership Institute. We're an educational institute that offers education opportunities in the sport industry. Our target in the first couple of years as we've been developing the institute has been those pre-university or pre-college, so younger students who aspire to work in the industry. And I've actually got a video around our Next Gen programme, which is an immersive programme. It takes place in the summertime in Manchester for 14 to 17-year-olds who have, as I said, an aspiration to come and work in this industry that we all work in.
Great, let's see the video.
I've always been into sport, but I've never really known what else there is other than just the sport. So Next Gen's really opened my mind up.
Whether it's talking to the freelance journalists, talking to City's social media team, or even just visiting all these special grounds, it's so valuable to anyone who aspires to work in the sport industry.
Go inside the world of the Premier League champions.
Take your first steps into the sports industry.
Experience the summer of a lifetime at Next Gen Man City.
Thank you. And finally, Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah Batters, Managing Director of London City Lionesses, previously Manchester City, Brighton and Southampton football clubs. So for those that don't know, London City Lionesses is an independent women's football club in England, competing in the Women's Championship, owned by Michelle Kang, who's recently invested, creating the first women's multi-club ownership group with Olympic Feminine Lyonnaises and Washington Spirit, who, shout out, are in the finals of the NWSL this weekend. So fortunately I don't have a video, we're in startup mode and I'm still hiring a marketing team and brand team. If anyone knows anyone, let me know. So no video from me, but
that is great, and I think that is really highlights what this panel is about, is sustainability 360 degree, from women football to education to environmental to governance. So this is the next 33 minutes, we're going to have some more questions about that, but let's start with you, Sarah, first. And can you tell us a bit more about the London City Lionesses?
yeah, so the story of London City Lionesses, 4 years ago, used to be part of Millwall, and it was the women's team. And the previous owner took it out of Millwall as a real commitment to, can we create a club independent from men's clubs that can succeed in the top tiers of English women's football? That club did well, stayed in the championship, and then in December 2023, Michelle Kang purchased the club, and we're now owned by Kaniska, which is her innovation hub and multi-club ownership group committed to the development of women's football. Underpinning what we do is a real belief that we should train women like women and give women the resources they need to reach their elite potential. I think things I've learnt recently, only 6% of sports research is actually done on women. I mean, we're still in a place that most women are wearing men's cut football kit and men's boots, and then we wonder, hang on a minute, we're in 2024. Shouldn't we be beyond this? And this is why it's quite exciting to join a club like London City to be able to build those opportunities and see where we can go. As I mentioned, we're independent, which means we don't have the resources of a men's club to lean on, so we're building it ourselves, but it's quite exciting and we've got some big ambitions. We're doing okay in the league, but there's big ambitions to get promoted to the top tier and show that we can compete against clubs like Arsenal, Manchester City, that are supported by their men's clubs, but also we're investing, building a new training ground where we're based in Kent in England, which is 28 acres and is going to be a training centre dedicated to women and girls only, and leading scientific research, trainer methodologies, and really 360 of what does it take to help a female athlete reach their potential in football.
Fantastic. I love the research piece and the data and all the data-driven approach as well that you want to put into that. Really very well done. And talking about data and talking about your sustainability strategy, Gaia. So we have seen ECA has launched a full ESG sustainability strategy. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yes, sure. So as a member association, we know that, of course, it's important to give a good example, to have our own strategy, but in the end, the major impact we can have is to help our clubs to be more sustainable. So the strategy we developed that was, again, fully based on our members' needs is aimed at making ECA as an organization a jewel of sustainability, let's say, but most of all develop a set of training, guidelines, tools that our members can use to become more sustainable themselves. So our objectives, we have targets and KPIs on all the area: governance, environmental, and social. Some are related to our own organization, but most of them are related to members in the sense how we commit to support them in becoming more sustainable. So things like, for instance, we just 2 days ago, we were at COP29, and we launched a new alliance to fight climate change. So we had 6 of our members that spoke. Real Betis, by the way, was one of this. And 10 that signed this declaration and essentially commit to also join the Sports for Climate Action, which means cutting their carbon emissions by 50% by 2030 and becoming net zero by 2040. But of course, from our side, that's not the end of the journey. Now we need to help them reach these targets. So next step would be, for instance, do a webinar jointly with UNFCCC, with Lindita Xaferi-Saliu, that explains our members what it means to join Sports for Climate, what they have to do, and how them and us can support them in this journey. So that's an example of our work helping the clubs to become more environmentally sustainable in this case.
And I think it's really valuable for the public to know how many members you've got now, because that is quite a big number.
Yeah, so when I joined ECA 1.5 years ago, we had 256 members. Now we have 728. And we are talking professional clubs from the 55 UEFA countries, both male and female teams. Michel Kang sits in our board, for instance. Of course, representing women's football clubs. And yeah, so it's growing quite quickly. And the challenge is that, of course, 720 means we have very big clubs that are quite advanced in their journey to sustainability, and some clubs that are really new. And of course, also it means a lot of differences in terms of resources that they have. So finding something that works for everybody is not always easy.
Yeah, but you're doing great, I have to say.
Thank you.
And coming to Forever Green, Real Betis, as a member of the CA, as was in Baku with the CA, and obviously Forever Green is the most visible initiative of Real Betis. Can you give a bit of a more narrative on that and tell a bit more what Forever Green does?
Since Forever Green was created in 2020, we've done a lot of things. One of the most important things for me, coming from the marketing side, is all the awareness we've created. We've reached an audience of 600 million people with all social media, with our social media channels and our media partners. We've done 180 activities, everything around sustainability, from educational workshops with kids in schools, in our international academies, from activities we do related to the environment, such as like planting trees, cleaning rivers, cleaning beaches. So we try to spread the word everywhere we go with all type of activities. Another achievement for me personally is we've been able to create 3 annual events that we repeat year by year. Those are the anniversary event, which is usually a hands-on event. So we basically take our hands and we basically do the work for the planet. Another thing we do every year is the gala, where we celebrate and we give voice to many projects related to sustainability and sport. So we have gala awards and we present those projects and ideas, and again give them voice to share the ideas around. And last but not least is the Forever Green match. We took this idea from the Premier League, that they had a carbon neutral match, and we changed it a bit. We choose a match every season, and it's a Forever Green match. We choose a threat the planet is facing against climate change, and we do everything around that topic. So this year the topic we've chosen is sea and ocean protection. The Forever Green match is on February 16. And I won't tell you more. You are all invited to come and see by yourself. But just as a highlight, we're going to have a special design and a special production jersey match. It's going to be super cool. But again, you're all invited to come, join, see yourself, and spread the word. Because at the end, all we need is a lot of awareness, and this is created by more people knowing the project, more people joining the project, more people working together. We do a lot of things with other clubs, and we are happy to share our ideas, to get your ideas, and keep going.
Thank you. And from La Liga to Premier League, I would say, with Jenny. And Manchester City is really well known, obviously, in the Premier League for his effort in environmental sustainability. And one of the things that I didn't know until a few months ago when I met Jenny about the Leadership Institute. And so what the Leadership Institute do, and how you try to train the new leaders in sustainability, especially in environmental sustainability?
Yeah, so I think first and foremost it's important to mention that from an educational standpoint, our view is that if we're educating the next generation of leaders that are coming into the industry, then we need to focus on real life examples of what's happening in the industry right now. And some of the things that have already been spoken about by Gaia and Anna are examples that we would take into the classroom, and we would invite industry practitioners like yourselves to come in and talk about the work that you do, the reason why you do it, and the impact it has. As you said, very, very proud back within the club, but then across the group of all the environmental initiatives that take place, and we do have an opportunity to share those. But we also try and go beyond that as well, and also bring in examples from other sports, because there's fantastic work going on in football, and this is evidence of it, absolutely. But there are also gold star examples in other sports. I mean, I would pick out examples like SailGP, for example, right? And looking at those and how that compares and contrasts, and being transparent with the students to say what the state of play is within football. But I think the key is getting them excited about what they can do if they're going to come into the industry to impact that, because I would say environmental sustainability for younger people in particular is a really important issue. And so they want to come and work in sport, but they want to combine that with feeling that they are having a positive influence on the environment. So what we try and do with the students when they're with us is understand their skill set and what they're interested in, and then expose them to issues or challenges and have a think about what it means for them in terms of a career. So for example, if they want to go and work in a club in the marketing team, okay, well then what does that mean in terms of environmental sustainability? Is it doing particular campaigns, raising awareness of issues? Or if they want to work in data analysis, what does it mean in terms of having, implementing tech that might be carbon neutral, or so on and so forth? So we try and give them as many real life experiences as possible. And also we let them come up with ideas. And so that's what's really interesting for me, and what we get out most in terms of educating these young people is actually listening to them, because sometimes they've got wonderful ideas. And I've seen some very senior people from across the sport industry come in and lead sessions with 14, 15, 16-year-olds and take notes and go, that's a really good idea. We'll take that away, so yeah.
Thank you. And it's not just environmental sustainability that you focus, it's also diversity, equality, and inclusion. So can you tell us a bit more about the work and how you embed these to trying to create a more inclusive and diverse football community?
Yeah, so we try and look at diversity, equality, and inclusion from two aspects, really. One is fan engagement. So in the age of tech and data, clubs know a lot more about who their fans are, and I think there's a realization now that the fan base is very diverse. And if you want to grow that fan base and speak to them, you need to understand, what their language is in terms of what are they interested in. And sometimes it's different on different sports, sometimes it's different between men's and women's football, and that's why it's important for clubs to have different strategies if they're trying to talk to different areas of their fan base. So we look at diversity, equality, and inclusion from that perspective, but then we also look at it from a workforce perspective. So the diversity of the industry is changing. So if you're wanting to come into sport and be a leader, you're going to be managing more diverse teams. But it's understanding that that diversity is a competitive advantage. And in terms of you're going to have more innovative ideas, if you want a high-performing team in this industry, if you want success, if you want that edge, you have to have diversity in the room, diversity of thought, challenge around decision-making. So as well as industry insights, in terms of giving them real-life examples, we do a lot of soft skill development with them as well. How do you have challenging conversations? How do you build in frameworks of effective leadership? There's two ways to lead, right? You can inspire or you can cause anxiety. And from our perspective, we want to foster and develop a generation of leaders that are more on that inspire side. And so from that perspective, we give them lots of opportunities to develop those skills and then go and apply them, hopefully within their schools, if that's their age at the moment, but take that forwards with them with their future career as well.
Thank you. Fostering leader skills. I think we're coming to Gaia now, and the ACA has launched Women's on Board programs. Can you tell a bit more about it?
Yes, so as part of the sustainability strategy development, of course, inclusion, equality, diversity, inclusion is one of the key topics in the social area. And I mean, it's not a surprise. We knew that, of course, when you look at football, and here I'm not talking about women's football, I'm talking about women working in football in particular, in the football clubs administration, and most importantly at the C-level of clubs, the percentage of women is quite dramatically lower. We did a survey at the beginning of 2023 and among our clubs, and the average is around 18% at the C-level and 30% in the administration level. But what was even more significant in my view was that you could expect that the clubs that have a higher percentage of women at the administration level are also the same at a higher percentage of women at the C-level, so that there's a ladder, but that's not the case. So apparently there are very few female executives that move around clubs, but it's very difficult to go up the ladder. And that's honestly is reflected also in our own board. At the moment, we only have 7 women sitting in the board. Actually, we just elected an additional one. And also in all our representative bodies. ECA has many working groups, but also we name representatives in UEFA committees. We have panels, task forces, and all around. If you look at the presence of women, we are talking today around 22%. So our strategy objective is to raise this percentage of 35% in the next cycle, 2027, at the representative bodies, and to reach 30% in the board. To do that, we said, okay, this won't happen by magic. It's not true that there aren't women out there in the football clubs. There are, but for some reason they're relegated at the lower tiers jobs. So we need to give them a little bit of confidence. We need to give them a little bit of support in networking, maybe in mentorship. And so we pilot this Women on Board program in cooperation with Women in Football. We targeted firstly the women that already sit in one of our working groups, because we see them as the best potential candidates for the board tomorrow. And more than half of the women sitting in the working group applied to this program. We ran the pilot. I was part of it as well. It was a 15 group of women. We bonded a lot, to be honest. It was an amazing experience. And we decided to make it a permanent program. So every year, 2, maybe 3 editions, and slowly build a community, help each other, and maybe feel less alone in this. We all face the same challenges, and also again create a little bit of more community spirit. So yes, we are working quite a lot on this, and any help on this is more than welcome.
And this is fantastic. It's like who knows me in the audience? I'm coming from the motorsport industry, and we got the same problems, especially back in 2004 when I joined the motorsport industry. So, and that's the same approach. Like was a woman in motorsport committee created, and trying to create a group where actually we can really nurture those skills and trying to build confidence on each other. So it's definitely the right way to to do and to go, and it's nice to see that the sport is all trying to get into this. But one of the things we always say into the Women in Motorsport Committee is if you can see it, you can be it. And I think at this moment it's like we got Sarah, that is the managing director of our women's teams, so is possibly the best person to talk about how you embed it and you make it visible, this diversity, equality and inclusion.
Thank you. It's quite interesting because I can turn this question on its head a little bit. Obviously in our club, I'm a female leader and lucky to have a female owner. This is unique, right? I'm hiring a lot at the moment because we're recruiting a lot of roles, and it's interesting. Probably not surprising, 95%, I'd say, of applicants are female, which is amazing. And so I have an opportunity and a platform to develop careers of females interested in sport who might feel more comfortable in this environment, or like a bigger opportunity. However, to Jenny's point, what I need to ensure that I don't do is end up in the absolute opposite echo chamber and ensuring that we still have diversity of thought. So, you know, I'm still going to be aiming to have a 50-50 organisation, but making sure that I do have an organisation that empowers women to succeed. And that is where it's really refreshing having a bit of a blank piece of paper to question everything that we do in sport and think about it again. So for example, to Gaia's point, there's a lot of females who might start off at a junior level who never reach the senior levels. And a lot of the reason for that is maternity leave and the career breaks women have to have children, and whether they're able to successfully reintegrate. And this is where at London City we have an opportunity to look at that with a fresh pair of eyes and say, well, what is our maternity policy? How do we support the women in our club coming back and coming back into senior roles and progressing in their careers, and really look at what those barriers are and how that we can adjust them. So yeah, I think, you know, diversity of thought is critical, it's competitive advantage. And got to make sure that we maintain that, but it is really liberating to look at things and say, okay, well, how could we do it differently, and why does it have to be like this? Just a funny story, we bought this new training ground and we're developing it. We're going to be completely developing it, but we've made it work for us right now, and one of the decisions that we had to make was actually to remove one of the men's toilets, because we needed a shower and an extra shower treatment room for the girls. And we looked around and said, well, hang on a minute, I don't think we need this. And so it felt quite liberating of out with the men's toilets. Don't worry, there are still some men's toilets, of course. But, you know, let's put women first in thinking what do they need in terms of their recovery. So.
And I think there is always a funny story with the women's toilet or men's toilets. I remember when I joined F1, there were no women's toilet in the F1 teams I joined. So I was like maybe we need to have one because I don't know where to go. So that I think is quite a funny story as well. But Hannah, talking with about Real Betis as well is putting a lot of effort to put diversity, equality, inclusion in their strategy. Can you give us some example?
Yes, we do a lot of work in terms of inclusion when talking about people with different impairments. We have a department and a great group of volunteers helping with accessibility at the stadium for every match. We have a section on the website where you can even download a guide for match day that is made with pictograms, that it's especially designed for people with ASD. We also have 3 teams under the Real Betis brand, one for amputees, walking football, and a genuine team. So we have these teams as part of our sections, let's say, together with the women's and together with the kids and youth teams. Every season we organize an inclusion and diversity match. Again, this one is to give visibility. We work a lot on different activations around that game. We have we play the anthem in sign language language to give visibility to people with hearing impairments. We designed a special jersey for people with color blindness. So there's a test, I don't remember the name, a medical test to get to know if someone is colorblind. So we designed this special jersey. We did have a record of 1,740 people with different impairments attending that game. This is a record, at least in Spain. It's a lot of people with different impairments coming to that game on that day. And last but not least, and I think it's a very special project, we designed and we inaugurated last season a sensorial room, which is especially made for children with special educational and development needs, where they can fully enjoy the football experience adapted to their needs. So this is quite special. I don't know if many other clubs have something similar, but I think it's one of our little steps into getting inclusion as part of the games at our stadium.
And that's great to hear. And I have to say, I'm glad to report that the Stadio Olimpico has actually got a sensory room as well. Was opened in April this year, and that was the first in Italy. That is quite a big things for them. And thanks to the help from the Premier League clubs that give for some guidelines, so that I think is the next step for inclusion. And we talk about being inclusive and consider people that have got obviously impairment, as you said, but it's also on education. You got people that learn in a very different way. Some people are more academic, some people are learning by doing. So Jenny, back to you. So can you tell a bit more of your hands-on approach in your place of work?
Yeah, so I think from our perspective, we look at education across the board, and academic or traditional education, there are so many options available to people, right? And if that's their desired kind of course, whether to go and do a degree at university, for example, or a specific qualification, then that's fantastic. But like, as you've just been talking about, different people have different needs, and the needs of people is not reflective of their talent, right? And so from our perspective, we specifically design our courses to be hands-on and immersive. So from that side of things, we try and first of all account for all the different ways that people learn. But in terms of the sessions themselves, they're practical workshops. We're setting them, we're giving them some information, we're giving them that insight, but then we're setting them challenges. Some are individual, some are group, and they get the real life feedback from the practitioners. So if Sarah was to come in and do a session on the development of the strategy at London City Lionesses, we might set the students a task to say, how would you go about developing a strategy for a new club? If you were setting up a club yourself, if you were lucky enough to be given that managing director role, where would you start? And we'll put them in groups and they'll sit and discuss it. But the fantastic thing would be that Sarah would be in the room with them, giving them feedback. They present it to you and you get to go, that's a great idea. You might take some notes. You might steal it and take it away. But that's to enable that interaction. What's unique about our program as well that we're incredibly proud of is we've run it now for the last 3 summers. This coming summer will be our 4th one. And we've had 21 different countries so far represented across our student cohort. So in terms of diversity of the students as well, and them having the opportunity to interact different languages, different cultures, it all feeds back into supporting them in terms of their understanding of diversity, as well as developing skills, as I said, that go beyond just reading and writing, let's say. And I just want to take the opportunity, 10 seconds, that, as I said, we do use industry practitioners. So if anyone is in Manchester this coming summer in July and fancies coming and delivering a workshop and talking about their work, please come and find me afterwards. We would love to have you.
Fantastic, thank you. And we were saying, like, if you'd give a task, if you were to start your own team, what you would do. So that's the last question for the panel. For example, Gaia, if there were any clubs just starting their journey into sustainability, what's your advice?
Well, the first thing you should do when you start a sustainability, let's say, path, whatever type of organization you are, you should do a proper stakeholder engagement, understand the needs and expectation of your main stakeholders. There are different ways of doing it, but make a map of all your activities and what are the positive and negative impacts you have on society and environment, and then pick maybe 2 or 3 topics where you see you can have quite an impactful effect, maybe in the beginning in an easier way, and start working on it. You can go from 0 to 100 in one day. You need to pick a little bit, a few projects, but there should be at least a strategic vision. So you should have a complete understanding of all your impact and the possibility you have, and start picking a few, but making a medium and long-term plan. So you start with 3, and then maybe you add other 3, and then you add other 3, and in the long term, you have a comprehensive strategy that covers all the dimensions of sustainability.
Great, thank you. And Sara, what's your advice to navigate diversity, equality, and inclusion?
I think my advice would be to have a real clear picture of the end goal and how you want an organisation to reflect society. It's not an easy thing to do. As I said, right now, the easiest thing for me to do would be to hire a whole team of women because they're the people that are applying for my jobs. But I need to force myself to go again to look, not just diversity of gender, but we're looking at diversity of people from all kinds of different backgrounds, and knowing, what's that end vision, and then being committed to it, being committed to go out and find the people that will balance that. And then the other part is having that kind of bravery to look at things again and not do things the way they've always been done, and to challenge, and even if that's difficult, do it anyway.
Thank you. And I think when we talk about sustainability 360 degree, we don't have to forget partnership, because it's really an important item for everybody, not just on business side, but especially on sustainability side. So Anna, last question to you. How Forever Green highlights what partners are doing?
We do a lot of partnership together with other clubs, national and international clubs. We try to share what we do. As Gaia said, we started with 3 topics: nature, transport, recycling, and we go little by little because it's difficult to go too big from 0. So we do a lot of things with clubs. We try to, every time we go abroad, we try to speak with the club we're going to play with, and even if it's a small thing, we try to do things. We've planted trees in Manchester with the Manchester United. We planted trees here in Rome when we came. Whenever we have a visitor coming to Seville, we take them to our urban garden. Apologies. And we do meet and tree, which is a new. We just made up the topic, and they love to see what we've done in the urban garden. They go back home with ideas. They give us ideas. We met with Copenhagen Football Club last month, and they told us about the honey they are doing on their rooftop of the stadium. So it's an amazing idea that we already want to copy, because I mean it's super important for the environment. And the people from Celje, they went back home thinking of our urban garden. We pick up the food from there for the football players. So we do a lot of little things, and I think sharing with clubs especially, that they can do similar things, sharing with our partners. We have our marketing partners, sponsors. We do a lot of things also with them. We have great partners in terms of sustainability, such as Volvo, Trainline. So we try to partner with everybody around. So please don't hesitate to contact us if you have any idea, anything that you want to share, anything that you want to ask, because that's the way we keep growing little by little.
Thank you. And as English people say, sharing is caring. And this, not for the people, for the planet, and for the sport, because I think for future-proof the sport, this is really important. So thanks again for joining us on this panel today and for coming here.